Greetings everyone, JJ here from schooltrade.com, March 5th, 2010. Here's your live trading recap. Had a pretty challenging week. We finished it up with a pretty challenging morning here, guys. Before we talk the trades we took today, 3 important links in the description, guys. Check out the description of the video on the YouTube page. 3 important links. One for our track record, one for our blog. New article on dollar index futures on the blog right now, so check that out. And of course, our 3-week trial. Make sure you guys look at those 3 important links. No trades today. Well, actually, we took 2 trades, but nothing in, nothing out. 2 scratch trades, and of course, that brings our weekly total here to $2,000. $2,000 the first week of March, averaging over $700 a day right now, guys. $21,500 for the year so far, and of course, we'll keep you guys posted on our way through the rest of the month of March. What's the most important that happened today? Well, of course, it was a Friday, so we knew on a Friday we look for things to end up a little bit earlier, right? Just like you, everyone wants to get out from behind their desk on a Friday morning, get out there and have some fun. So on Friday mornings, of course, we expect things to end up a little bit earlier. Now, we had non-farm payrolls this morning at 8:30. That was the only news this morning, and we expected to see with that non-farm payroll a lot of volume, but we didn't really see very much. Now, we saw a bunch of moves, but the problem was we had the dollar sitting on some resistance. So the dollar was trying to break resistance all morning. And the problem is, of course, crude was being very indecisive. Crude and gold was being very indecisive at its highs. So of course we've got the dollar sitting on resistance, right? Trying to break to the upside. We have the crude oil, which has a negative correlation to it, being very indecisive at those highs. But the problem was that of course with that negative correlation, dollar resistance, that means support on crude and gold. So the shorts were very difficult to get into. And here's what it looked like today. And we learned a valuable lesson, and that is if we're trying to test the highs and we're not seeing a lot of decisive buying pressure at those highs, and if we have the dollar sitting on, right, or basically going against overhead resistance, it's going to make for a relatively difficult environment here. So what happened is this. We saw on the left-hand side, right, on the left-hand side, I've got my dollar, right? There's your DX on the left side. On the right side, right, there's your crude, your CL. Now, negative correlation here. Now, notice, guys, we have these, right, this resistance here. So we're trying to break resistance, and this trigger line here on my dollar continues to hold things up, right? So dollar continues to try to push back above here and get above this trigger line, but as you can tell, it couldn't. So with overhead resistance, right, comes support on the crude, which means that when we're looking for short sides, right, looking for short trades in the crude, we were seeing a very difficult time. But now there's one more thing that played into this. So the short side on crude became more difficult because we had overhead resistance. Now, what about the long side? Well, the problem was, as you can see here on the right side, we've got all these tests of these highs, right? High of day, high of day, high of day, high of day, testing these highs. So crude is rising, but here's the problem. A Friday, end of the first quarter, lots of indecision right now in the market. At least it felt like that. Lots of indecision in the market right now. What do we see at the high of day today? At the high, what do we see? We saw red pace of a tape. I can't trade the highs with red pace of a tape. So things were too slow, too indecisive to feel confident buying into the overhead extremes on crude and gold today. So we found ourselves in a situation where the negative correlation on the dollar kept us from the short side. Of course, the high, right, the upside on the dollar and crude, we saw indecision at those highs for whatever reason it was. So we found ourselves in a pretty tough spot here, and that's what happened today. It was a pretty difficult situation. Let's take a look at the trades we took today. And again, both of these were scratches here. 10.18 was the first trade. Of course, the short-term trend here was up. You can see that by looking at the slope of my trigger line here. We have the high of day overhead, right? We continued to test the highs on gold and crude all morning long. And as you can see, right, looking back on this thing, you've got high test here, chop and slop. High test here, chop and slop. High test here, chop and slop. So as we came up and tested these highs, we didn't see any big moves to break those highs. What we saw was we came up, tested the high here, and we got chopped out. We came up for the second time, tested the high here. We looked for the 2-step short here, getting below that swing low. And once again, you can see very, very choppy in around here. If you follow me down, momentum, of course, curled and pointed back up. Stop is moved to entry once. We said momentum curl there at 10.18 and a scratch trade there on gold for the first trade of the morning. Let's keep going. Second trade of the morning was on crude. This one had a little bit more potential, but boy, you can see this is exactly what we had to deal with all morning here. Short-term trend was down, right? Slope of my trigger line is nice and steep downwards. We break below this red line. Things are looking good, right? Dollar is trying to rise, we're trying to go short, but the dollar keeps getting hung up on that overhead resistance, and it results in just this sloppy mess here. We, of course, broke below this swing low, but as you can see, guys, very slow price action. Follow me down bottom here, and you can see we had very indecisive momentum, right, curling up from the bottom. That was the problem. We were seeing big sellers, but momentum pointing up. We'd see momentum pointing up, and then see, right, big sellers. So it wasn't lining up. 1035 today on the crude, 81.73. Again, momentum curled, stop to entry for another scratch. So 2 trades. We tried to get as many as we could today, guys, but really we did a good job at following our rules. Nothing in, nothing out on a very challenging morning. Let's recap. Monday morning, 7:45, guys. You don't want to miss Monday. Going to be a very busy week next week. Of course, second week of March. We're going to hopefully see some better price action we did this week. Webinars on Tuesdays and Thursdays at 11:30. If you guys want to know more about our setups, our rules, our routine, how we trade in the room, guys, the beginner's course is designed for that. And if you want any more information about lifetime membership, that's right, lifetime membership. We're even going to give you guys a chart and the data for free. That's sales@schooloftrade.com. My name is Joseph James. Hope the video helped. Challenging day today. Hope you guys are understanding that dollar and crude correlation, guys, because it really helped keep us out of a couple bad trades today. Again, my name is JJ. We'll see you guys Monday morning. Bye-bye for now.